Hi, I'm Steve, and this is my 2013 Vauxhall Movano. So, I'm going to be doing a full camper conversion on it. So, I'll just take you into the back here, and here we are. This is a medium wheelbase, medium roof height, loads of room in it. It's actually an ex-police vehicle. So my first job is to get all the old ply out. Like you can see, I've just got one piece up here. It's just screwed down into the floor where it screws. So I need to get all this ply up and clean the floor up, and maybe any little bits of rust or anything like that I'll touch up with some white hammerite. I'm also going to be removing the bulkhead. This is actually an ex-police vehicle, so it's had one owner and it's got the full service history, and the ply I'm taking up is actually in very good condition, so I'll probably reuse this ply, but I'm going to build a frame on the floor 25mm deep and use 25mm Celotex for the insulation on the floor. So that's going to be my first job. So I'm going to crack on and get the rest of this flooring up, and then we'll come back and see where we are. Well, that's all the flooring out. It was a bit of a job in some places because some of the screws were very rusted and I had to drill some of them out. So, I've just cleaned the floor. I'm just going to wait for all this to dry. And where the previous flooring has been screwed in some floor seal like this, I'm going to rub it with a bit of sandpaper and use some white hammerite just to cover up the holes, stop them, well, not to cover them up, but just to stop them rusting again. And then I'll use a bit of Silkaflex sealant to actually cover all the little holes, because I'm actually going to make a frame, a cot, like in a box section, and then use 25mm Celotex for the insulation for the floor. The original plywood I took out in sections, it was actually in pretty good condition. So I'm going to reuse that, and then I'll put some kind of flooring over the top of it, and it should make a good job. I've still got to get the bulkhead out yet, but you can just see there's some cables coming through. Someone has had a leisure battery installed here, and it's wired to a split charge unit on a battery. So I'm going to disconnect all this from the battery, take the cables out, and then I can get the bulkhead out in one piece, and that should really open the van up a lot then. Well, I've got all the van done in this closed cell foam insulation with a foil backing, and you can see that it's all done now. All the roof, sides, doors, and so now I'm going to use this. What this is recycled plastic. I'm going to stuff all these voids and fill all these areas. The same one here, I'm going to fill all these areas. You see, before I actually board it up. So I'm going to crack on now and get that done. Oh, by the way, as you can see, I've actually got my side windows fitted in now. I've still got to get the bulkhead out. I threaded some cables through, which are going to be for my lights, before I complete the insulation. Just make the job a lot easier for me. So let's see how I get on with this now. Well, I've started boarding it out now, so I can get the carpeting done. I've got that one on there. I've had to fill in here a bit because the stupid voids goes back into there. I'm going to cut some plywood to go straight across there, just to square that off a bit. Got that one in. I did actually have the lower panels, but they weren't plywood, they were just like sort of hardboard, and a lot of them were broken. But I sort of used them like templates, and the rest I've just had to measure up and scribe and cut as I've gone along. So this one here, going here, you'll notice I've actually fitted these brackets. This is for my bed rail, so I'm using Scover bed rail. I'll do another video on that later. And I've actually drilled, used rib nuts to hold these brackets in place so they're really solid. Done the same on the other side. Yeah, so that's where I am at the moment. I've got this panel, this will go up to here, then I'll have to measure and cut out a piece to go from here down to here, you see, and then another piece go along there, and that's this side sort of boarded then, and I just need to make the panels for this side, and then I can start carpeting it. Now you notice before I started putting the boarding in, I've run all my cables through for my lights. I'm going to have a unit over here with a switch panel for the lights. So I've also run a cable around the van. That's got, and that's this cable here. And this is going to go to a 12-volt fuse panel on here. And then this me UHP cable to go to me consumer unit. So whatever cables you need to run, I'll very, very strongly advise you to run all your cables before you start boarding the van out. So I'm going to crack on and do a bit more, and we'll come back later. All that side is all plied now. So I might put a different piece on at the end there yet. I'm not 100% sure. But where I've put the Scover bed rail brackets, I've covered everything with and sealed with silver foil tape as well. Now I'm on to this side. So I had the bottom piece on. Now don't forget, this is where my bed's going to go. So I want to put my TV bracket right bang in the centre there. So what I've used a piece of 6-inch gravel board, it's 1 inch thick. I bonded it in here and bonded it in there, and that is actually really firm, and it's also served another purpose. I didn't have another big full sheet of ply left, but I had a few half sheets and smaller pieces. That means, as you can see here, I've plied half, and then I've got another piece that will go in there to join down here. And that way it saved me having to go out to buy another full sheet of ply to finish it off. Oh, by the way, I've already got the piece for the top. And also, as I say, I can screw my TV bracket to that and it'll be quite secure. So I'm going to crack on and do this a little bit more and then I'll come back later. Well, that's all the boarding finished off now. These are my brackets for my bed, put the score rails on. I've taped up the covered up the window ready for carpeting. It's a bit of a pain in some bits, but this is 5.5mm plywood I've used. On that door there I've got actually the original card to go on there. So when I've carpeted all the door, I'll carpet the original card and just pop it back on. So all the rest is done. I've still got to sort the roof out. However, you'll notice I've actually run all the cables out for the lights, etc. and other bits and things that I've got coming through the ply there. So it's taken me about 2 days to do it all. And yes, you can buy full ply kits for the van, but it's actually cost me about £70 to board out this van. So whereas the full ply kits are over £300. So overall, I'm quite happy with it. Well, I'm starting to get on with the roof a bit. So I'm using this cladding here I got from Wix's DIY. So the only thing is, this van is almost 3 meters in length inside, and I actually got the 2.4 meters, which means I'm going to have a join here. So when I've finished, I'll just use a little bit of wood filler, smooth it over and just sand it over very lightly, because I'm going to varnish these anyway. So I've got my spotlights in. I use a hole saw to drill through. I think it's a 55mm hole saw I use. And then what I've done, I've also got a couple lights on the other side. Now them lights I'm going to actually have working off a switch, which I'll have in a unit over here. But all this side I'm just going to wire directly to the fuse box, because these lights are touch sensitive, so they've got their own switch built into them, so I don't actually need a switch on them. And the way I've done it, I've just daisy chained the wiring. So that wire comes from that light, that's joined up to the wire from this light, and then I've used an extra bit of wire just to join up the wire from this light, and then from the piece of wire here I'm going to put to this light. And then when I've finished, I'll have a piece of wire going down to the 12-volt fuse box. I've already got the other end wired in here. Got my mains in. I've got to finish this off yet, but it is all okay. I've also just put a little plug socket there. I'm not going to go too much into electrics on this video, because I'm going to actually do a separate video on the electrics, but this is more about the roof. Now, so as you can see, where the steel rafters were going across, I've used wooden battens that I've screwed up, some self-drilling screws. That's how I've fastened cladding up. On the end, I was having real issues getting a piece of wood cladding on here. So I've just used the self-drilling screws, and I drill little pilot holes to avoid splitting the wood, and I've screwed them straight up into the metal. Reason being is I actually run out of the longer self-drilling screws and I only had shorter ones left. But yeah, it's done it okay, it's quite secure. And I just noticed something which I'm going to have to change now. I've got that spotlight in the wrong way round, so I'm going to take that out and change that now. We all make mistakes, don't we? So I'm going to crack on with this and I will catch up with you later. Well, welcome back. So this is my van now, all finished, or just about. Couple of little finishing touches just to do. So this is a fridge I bought. It's a mini compressor fridge from Halfords. It's about 12 volts and mains. So while driving, it will go into the 12 volt socket, and then when I get on site I can either leave it where it is or pull it out anyway, it doesn't really matter. I made this little unit up. I haven't put any doors on it yet. I just thought I'd put a curtain on it, and got everything just all strapped in behind it. That's the bed, all done. So nice, good, solid bed. Really nice mattress. Got there for it. A little ottoman there. That's just basically for sitting on. It also acts as a little step stool for getting up onto the bed. It's a little bit high as a bed. Couple of little finishing touches still to do on the cladding on the roof. It's TV, smart TV there. Some nice lights. I've also got some lights over this side. These lights are touch sensitive, so you can turn them on and off while you're in bed. My electrics, I actually went with an EcoFlow, so I've got here. I have that, and I have a lead from that connected to the 12 volt fuse panel. So it operates about 12 volts and mains, and I've just fitted a recessed plug socket in here, which is connected to the EcoFlow as well. And I've also got a main socket here, and we're plugged in on site. So overall, I'm quite happy with how everything's turned out. Probably cost me about £1,500 to do this. It's only a cheap build, but you know what? This will do me absolutely fine. I've got to get the curtains, yeah, or some blinds to put up at the windows, and I want to get a curtain for behind the cab area, yeah. But apart from that, it's all done now. So thanks very much for joining me and watching me through my videos. I hope you picked up some nice tips. Like I said, I've just used basic tools, basic equipment. I spent about £1,500, and it's now all ready to go away in. So thanks very much for watching. Bye. Hi. Well, I'm just going to show you a little hack here. I'm in my camper van. I've just been fitting these curtains, but the van I have is a Vauxhall Movano, and the window frame sort of goes at an angle like that, so you can't sort of get the curtains to sit right on the end. So what I done, I bought some little magnets, which off Amazon, I think for about £5 for about 10. And what I've done, till you get one metal plate, and then you have a magnet that goes behind the curtain. I'll just drill the hole in it. I'll put it up to the... It does have a sticky 3M sticky pad on the back, but I'm not sure how long it will stay stuck on the carpet when I've gone round the window. So I've just done a little hole. I'll put a self-tapper in, and then I'll just show you on the other curtain there how they actually work. So the magnet just sits behind the metal plate, you see, like that, with the screw in, and metal plate just goes behind the curtain like that. It just sticks to it, and it just holds your curtains in place. So that's my hack for the day. Thank you very much. Bye.